Today, some crazy stuff is happening. The U.S. considers nuclear options for Ukraine amid rising tensions. This is literally getting very, very serious right now. Just in, right here, U.S. officials discuss giving nuclear weapons to Ukraine. So that's happening with the foreign wars. Here at home, Trump border czar pointedly warns sanctuary cities could be prosecuted if they harbor aliens. So Tom Homan is coming out. He said every single governor that is trying to come out, they will be held before a court. They could go before the Supreme Court and lose their governorship because they are going straightly against the federal government and trying to remove all these illegal aliens. There's a ton of stuff going on right now. This is bombshell news that it's literally so bad that Biden is literally considering giving Ukraine nuclear weapon power. They said we need to give them this as a deterrent for Russia to not move forward in attacking Ukraine. That's what they said. They said at the same time, many GOP members are saying this is what is the start of World War III. And now Trump and Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, are pushing to have Biden removed from office. They said this is dangerous and unreasonable. And Trump is literally about to take office in less than 2 months. And they're citing that he is not in his full capabilities to be able to make these rash decisions. So Biden is literally putting us in a horrible, horrible position. On top of that, the United Kingdom and France are in talks to deploy troops to Ukraine to fight on the ground. This is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Biden is literally pushing the entire world into this world war between Russia and Ukraine. At the same time where Trump has literally came out and said, we need to calm down and we need to have peace. At the same time, things are heating up big time between the governors of blue states and Tom Homan. He's the new border czar who has already come out and said that they're coming. Day one, they're going to be sending military troops throughout the United States into the swing states where they have the most criminals and removing them. And we have these governors who are literally citing that they are going to protect these migrants from being deported. The other big fight that's happening is also in Congress over the insider trading. We have Josh Hawley, who is a senator who literally came out and shows evidence that congressmen and women are day trading to make themselves rich because they know the laws that are about to be passed and that are affecting companies, and they're taking advantage of the stock market for their own wealth gain. And he said, Josh Hawley said, these people need to be held accountable and no congressman needs to be able to do this. So a ton of breaking news today. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. We appreciate it so much. And thank you to all of our members of the channel. If you want to join the True Life News fam, the link is in the description to join, as well as a link to follow me on X. Guys, I'm so thankful and grateful for everybody that is supporting this channel. And thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation. We are so thankful for the support that we have in this community. Also, big news. Just want to say this is breaking news just minutes ago that Jack Smith is dropping all of the charges, the election interference charges, the January 6th charges against Trump. The sham trials are now over with that they've been trying to target Trump. Check this out.
All right, I think Carrie Raban's joining us now, John, Fox News legal editor.
Okay.
Carrie, your thoughts?
Yeah, this was the right decision by the Department of Justice. As has been mentioned, we were expecting this, but this is because of DOJ's long-standing policy about not indicting / prosecuting a sitting president. And it looks like that Jack Smith's team did, in fact, seek the guidance of DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel, which is like the general counsel for the Department of Justice, in asking for these cases, the indictment to be dismissed. And OLC concluded that the prohibition on the federal indictment of a sitting president is, quote, categorical. And so that's why we knew this was coming. The Department of Justice made the right decision here following longstanding policy, and also not just the policy, but it's also in the best interest of the country, given Donald Trump's resounding win just recently.
You know, Carrie, we knew that this was going to happen, so it's no surprise, but it is rather interesting to note that after all of this money that was spent, out of all of this time that was spent, all.
Sorry to interrupt, but over $50 million of taxpayer money was spent trying to prosecute Trump in these sham trials. Tarina Smith, thank you so much for the super chat. And Silda Morales, thank you so much as well. Happy Thanksgiving. And Silda said Biden wants to leave the country in the worst condition. 100%. He's being spiteful.
All of the prosecutors and the attorneys that Smith had working for his office on these two cases, that it just gets summarily dropped because of two things: the Supreme Court decision about immunity and the fact that a majority of Americans, more than 76 million, said they like Donald Trump. They don't care what he's accused of doing. They wanted him to be president.
But your question gets to the wisdom of even bringing this case in the first place. You have the January 6 cases, you have the classified documents cases. I've said this many times on air. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should. And there are all kinds of things that a prosecutor weighs. There are all kinds of things that an attorney general weighs. It's a lot more gray than people realize. Yes, you balance the law, but you also balance what is fair, and you also balance what is good for the health of a nation. When you are coming at a former sitting president and the possible future president, you have to be so incredibly careful, and you better hope and better, your case, I should say, better be lock solid. I mean, there's no chance of it getting overturned. There's no novel legal theories, none of that. And in the January 6 cases, that just wasn't true. They were bringing untested legal theories. In other words, they were bringing the law against Donald Trump in a way that it had not been applied before. The Supreme Court addressed actually an aspect of the law that they were attempting to bring against both Donald Trump and all the January 6 defendants. And the Supreme Court said, hey, look, this law that you're using against Trump and these defendants, it's not a blank check that you can kind of insert and write into what you want it to be. And that happened in June. Then you had the Supreme Court immunity decision. And so, again, while, yes, to your point, $50+ million was spent, the reality is it didn't have to happen in the first place. And that's, going to be something debated, I think, by historians for a long time.
Carrie, thank you. Please do stay with us. Jonathan Turley going to jump into the conversation now with the breaking news that Special Counsel Jack Smith has asked the judge to dismiss this Trump D.C. case. Jonathan, also adding to this from our own Jake Gibson, that the Special Counsel, Jack Smith's team, also sought the guidance of the DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel, the OLC, concluded that the prohibition on the federal indictment of a sitting president is categorical. Jonathan, your reaction to the news?
This is huge.
Well, this is what we expected. I wrote over a year ago that there was a good chance Jack Smith would never see the inside of a courtroom for a trial in this case. It made this election the largest effective jury verdict in history by re-electing Donald Trump. The special counsel found himself at odds with his own department's longstanding policy against the prosecution of a sitting president. But Smith did not go quietly into that night. I expect that he did get a lot of different opinions, hoping for the right one. But the OLC, this office that handles such questions, has long taken this position. So it would be doubtful that they would change it here. But, Smith had a sort of a gratuitous end to his term. He pushed not only for a trial before the election, and he pushed for months for that, but he also released damaging information before the election, something that many people saw as an effort to influence the election. Smith knew that if Trump won, he was out of a job. And this release of the information was entirely unnecessary. The judge admitted that it was procedurally irregular, but she went along with it. And I think that did tarnish his position, and certainly in history, because he didn't have to do that. He had become so absolutely fixated on trying Trump before the election that he lost credibility, I think, with the courts. He went up to the Supreme Court. They didn't accept that was the overriding consideration in looking at these legal issues. I think it's all.
And I'll tell you this, it's insane to think that he was trying to go after Trump for election interference, yet he was releasing information just weeks before the election, causing election interference. People saw through it, 100%. Hey guys, make sure to show Tarina and Silda some love in the chat, everybody, for the super chats. But we're going to get into some serious stuff. Like, this is, not that that's not serious, but the U.S. officials have discussed giving nuclear weapons to Ukraine. And then we have where the United Kingdom and France are in talks to deploy troops to Ukraine. Like this is getting as crazy as it could be. Like never in anybody's mind did they imagine that just weeks before Trump takes office, that everybody in the world decides that it's time to send troops, send missiles, allow Ukraine to do everything that they've been wanting to do for a long time for the past years. And why are they doing it now? That's what everybody is asking. Why now? Why now? And the reason they say it's because is Biden and the Democrats are trying to sabotage Trump's presidency. They're trying to mess it up before he actually gets into office. This is one of the things too, because again, a lot of them have been doing some shady stuff for a while, guys. And the people that Trump is trying to put in place are going to go after him. Now, you've heard of this guy named Cash. Check this out.
You heard about, but we could not confirm because of shit IG investigations and Bob Mueller not doing his homework about the spying on Donald Trump. I mean, you know, Scamapedia, Wikipedia, if you put Spygate in Wikipedia, hilariously, this is why I tell people, you mention Wikipedia, I hang up on you immediately because you're not a serious person. Wikipedia still calls it a conspiracy theory. The name of the spy was Azra Turk. You can look it up, folks. This is how dumb. By the way, that was just one spy. There were others too. You know who I'm talking about. They're all over my books. We know the names of the spies. They were spying on the Trump orbit. That's a fact. Cash is going to go in there, and Cash knows where the bodies are buried, and he's got shovels, man.
Yes.
He's ready to rock and roll. That's why they're so terrified. Cash was on Maria Bartiromo's show this weekend. We need this guy at FBI. We don't get him at FBI, they're going to get another person just pouring dirt on it. We're never going to find this stuff out. Watch this. You'll see why they're afraid.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the public has also lost trust in a number of these agencies. Cash, how do you believe Americans will regain trust in our most important law enforcement agencies?
One thing. Exposure of corruption. Put out the documents, put out the evidence. We only have gotten halfway down the Russiagate hole. The people need to know that their FBI is restored by knowing full well what they did to unlawfully surveil them. The people need to know that there has been a de-weaponization, a defanging of the Department of Justice, and their houses of worship will no longer be raided. But they need to be shown the documents that said this was the reasoning they weaponized justice. And that, in my opinion, is how Congress can most importantly secure the trust or resecure the trust of these agencies and departments. President Trump is taking a huge first step with his monumental victory. Now it's up to Congress and the Senate to work with his leaders at DOJ and FBI to put out those documents. And I think DOJ goes a long way in that, but we're going to need cabinet secretaries who say, we don't fear the corruption that preceded us. It will make us powerful if we expose it to the American public.
Yes.
All right,
Folks, nobody else is talking like this who is up for FBI director. This is a critical spot. Wray is out. He's done. Christopher Wray is going to get fired or resign. There is no way he stays on. You have got to put the squeeze. I can't emphasize this enough. You have got to put the squeeze to deep state people. People are policy, man. If you have people at the top who don't directly say at the FBI, I want to see the files on Spygate, on what we did with Donald Trump. I want everybody involved in my office. You are never going to get to the proverbial bottom of it. Oh, I hate that expression. You are not. No, everyone else is just going to pretend it didn't happen. Here, can I give you a quick example of what I mean? In case you think like this is all BS and I'm making this up. Things happen at agencies if the director and the top doesn't pay attention all the time, and they'll keep going forever. Spying, unconstitutional activities. When I was a young agent with the Secret Service, we used to have this thing called protest zones. You'd go to a site. It's a good, quick story, but it matters. You would go to a site for the president. They'd say, where's the protest zone where people can protest? Folks, if some of you in the chat see where I'm going with this, what I'm talking about is completely unconstitutional.
You hear this, guys?
Dan, you guys did unconstitutional stuff. No one said anything. They did it for probably 30 years. And then what happened? Eventually, some really smart citizen was like, wait, so I'm a protester at a site where the president's at, and anyone can walk down that side of the street, anyone. It's not a secure area, but I have to stay in the protest zone? I'm being treated differently because of my speech. It was the easiest slam dunk First Amendment case ever. The Secret Service instantly puts out a memo. There will be no more protest zones. Has supervisors ensure that the First Amendment's respected. And when you ask people why they did it, the answer you got was because that was the way we always did it. People or policy. If you don't get a guy in there who's a constitutionalist, who's the director who goes, hey, wait, we're not allowed to do that. People act like the government is full of these, super geniuses, not you, but liberals and stuff, and they're going to figure this stuff out. You need a guy to go in there with a hammer and start breaking stuff, and Cash is the guy.
Yes.
And we've got to push all these people through while this chaos is still going on the left. They are busy eating themselves alive. My cannibalism theory is real. For those of you who don't know it, the right started ignoring cancel culture on the left a long time ago. Matter of fact, not only did we ignore them, we created an entirely parallel economy. X, Rumble, Elon, Truth Social, parallel economy. We've got Mammoth Nation. You've got Public SQ. We've created an entirely different parallel economy. We ignore these idiots. Smart companies are ignoring the left. DEI is dying. The left is never going to give up the power to cancel. So now that they lost the election in humiliating fashion, and everybody's blaming the cancel culture woke morons, right? The woke morons don't know what to do. They can't go out and tell other donors, hey, we've been wrong the whole time. So the schism developing is shockingly, they're getting crazier. The lefty nutbags are getting actually crazier. There's no reckoning happening at all. Cannibalism, they're starting to eat themselves alive, which is a good thing. This is the time, full speed ahead, gas pedal down, to push Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and RFK through. This is it. Here's what I mean. I want you to watch two absolute lunatics who, it's interesting that in this segment, the reason I'm playing this segment is these two are big cancel culture advocates and wokesters, and yet they did stuff that would get anyone else canceled, and yet magically they think the rules don't apply to them. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Here's Joy Reid and Media Matters' Angelo Corazon, two life losers, talking about how the Trump administration is going to start shooting people.
They need to lose their license.
This is real. I told you they were going to get crazier. Check this out.
And the thing is that you cannot you can't say that enough. And I want you to say more about that because you're talking about deploying the U.S. military. Remember, Mark Esper, who was Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense for a while, told him, no, you cannot shoot American citizens. You can't have the military shoot American citizens. He's going to replace people in the Department of Defense with people who will say you can and that you can.
Nobody has said this. She's literally putting words out that nobody has said whatsoever. This woman should be in jail. She should lose her spot on the air because she is inciting violence. When you say that a sitting president is going to go shoot American citizens, are you kidding me? Like, this type of junk is why Trump won.
Or the military against protesters, that you can arrest journalists for reporting things that Donald Trump doesn't like, that sort of thing, right?
That is exactly right.
I just got a DM from our good friend Leo Terrell. Listen to this, guys. He's watching the show. Hey, Leo, how are you, brother? He says, I can't stop laughing. Karate Man, can I referee the fight? I'm replaying the video over and over. Hilarious. Yes, Leo, you can referee the fight. You just need to have a doctor immediately on standby for the me and Geraldo. What is the karate kid? Was it the Mid-Valley Karate Fest or something? What was the name of that tournament? Yes, just have an ambulance on standby. Thank you, Leo. You see what I'm talking about with the crazy people? The crazy people are going to go crazier. I'm saying this not to sit here and just randomly cover stuff for the show. It's a busy news week. There's actually a lot going on, even though it's Thanksgiving. We're in the middle of a red-hot transition. There's 1,000 news stories to talk about. This is the time to Republican leaders, to activists, to candidates getting ready to take office. I'm sorry. We're going to go eat turkey on Thanksgiving, but you guys got to move ahead and move ahead fast.
Yes.
They are in total chaos right now. The left has gone crazier. The moderates, the fake moderates, don't know what to do. They're fighting with themselves. They're going to get their sea legs soon. You're going to see it. You got to take advantage of it now.
I feel like, again, too, when I look at what she is saying, again, to me, that's inciting violence. Let me know what you think in the chat. Sheila Brown, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Sheila some love in the chat, everybody. Y'all are awesome. Let's go. So, and with all the things happening with Russia, Ukraine, all that stuff, check this out. Israel Netanyahu has approved an emerging ceasefire deal with Hezbollah in principle. So this is big. Like, things are happening, and I know that Trump has already met with Israeli, is that how you say it? Leaders, but also Elon Musk has also met with the Iran ambassadors. Remember, Iran is funding Hezbollah. All this stuff is tied together, but they're already working on this ceasefire. Putin came out and literally said, I will talk about a ceasefire if Trump is negotiating the talks. And yet, as soon as he said that, Biden's like, go ahead, Ukraine, use missiles, do this, do that. Like, it's crazy. And I hope people are seeing that one side is for war, even though they called Trump out and said, oh, he's the guy that's going to put us into World War III. He's the guy that's going to take everything and just screw it all up. No, it's actually the Democrats that are doing that right now. So that's overseas. On the home front, this is happening. Listen to Rand Paul, what he says about all these mayors who said that they are literally going to stop the federal government from trying to deport illegals. Check this out.
That the mayor of Denver, if he's going to resist federal law, which there's a long-standing history of the supremacy of federal law, if he's going to resist that, it will go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I would suspect that he would be removed from office. I don't know whether or not there'd be a criminal prosecution for someone resisting federal law, but he will lose. And people need to realize that what he is offering is a form of insurrection, where the states resist the federal government. Most people objected to that and rejected that long ago. So I think the mayor of Denver is on the wrong side of history, and really, I think will face legal ramifications if he doesn't obey the federal law.
That's it. Legal ramifications. These people that literally have been sanctuary cities, allowing illegals to come in, they're going to be actually facing the law of no, you can't just do that. You're taking taxpayer money and funding these illegals and not being fair to the taxpayers. The border crisis, I'm telling you, it's getting real. It's getting really, really hot. Check this out.
Here on a Monday morning, nice to see you. Fox News Sunday with Jillian Turner working for Shannon, the Democratic Senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, on the risk Democrats took by ignoring the border issue in this election. Watch.
One area where we kind of lost ourselves was the border. It can't be controversial for our party to be pro-immigration, but we need a secure border. And when we ask or demand people to not believe what they see and see those kind of numbers, that's not a problem.
He was warning even before the election about immigration, especially in Pennsylvania. Biden and Harris did very little on this for 4 years.
Very little. You remember when Biden came under scrutiny for not visiting the border as president. His first visit comes in January of 2023. Kamala Harris went in 2021, and then her next visit was as a candidate in September of 2024. They did not take this seriously. They also must have not been listening to focus groups, looking at polls. CBS just came out and said 57% of Americans want to deport all illegal immigrants, all of them, 57%. That's a huge number. They chose not to take it seriously. They chose to ignore the polls, and here we are.
So there was another incident this weekend in Virginia where there was an attempted rape, and thankfully the woman was able to fight off her attacker. But Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin wrote this: "I am heartsick for this victim and outraged that local Fairfax County officials recklessly released violent illegal immigrants who should have been prosecuted and deported. When President Trump takes office, the political posturing will end and localities will cooperate with ICE to protect Virginians."
Y'all hear this crap? A woman was almost raped by an illegal immigrant, a criminal illegal immigrant. Thankfully, she got away. She was able to fight him off. That person should never have been in the United States. And it's so sad that you got so many Democratic governors that will not cooperate with Trump to take the criminals out.
This is actually then also from the New York City Police Department. I want to read this to you here from the New York Post. In New York City, it would take a lifetime to clear the city of the criminals that we have. The only people they're shielding are the criminals, and they're shielding the criminals from us. That's the New York City ICE director to the New York Post.
And Kenneth Grinaldo there went on to say the victims are the most vulnerable. They're migrant women, they're migrant children. The most vulnerable suffer, including American citizens, by the way, too. You know, Glenn Youngkin, that rape that happened in the park, how horrendous. They had not had a rape by a stranger in that park in 12 years. And then this happens, an individual who had 2 years of history of sexual assaults or peepings. And yet this happens, totally preventable. Just where Tom Homan is going to visit, you had special interest aliens from Africa coming across. It's a huge problem. And the fact that mayors are doubling down, it will be interesting to see what happens here in New York, though, because Eric Adams has indicated he wants to work with the federal government in private. We know sanctuary city laws prohibit him from doing some things, but it will be a real interesting test case to see what happens.
About 2 weeks ago, he said we have to question our sanctuary status, which, in my view, is a huge move for a Democratic big city mayor in America today. Under Barack Obama, 8 years now, you had 5.3 million removals and returns.
Wow.
That got very little coverage in the media. I imagine it'll be different now under Trump.
Yes, and President Trump's going to try to do the same, but you will have the media seizing on pictures and images. They will put it up. They will try to make this a huge scandal, ignoring the past and the precedent with President Obama. There's no doubt about it. So they have to do this carefully. But I just think public sentiment has changed. We're a long way from where we were in 2016 when President Trump was floating some of these ideas that did not have majority support. Now they do. Politically, we're in a different place. So I'm not sure the media antics will work the same way.
Well, and you have to ask, so what changed? And the Democrats have no one to blame but themselves. If they didn't want this to happen, the fact that they let the border just be completely open for 4 years means that that's how you get the kind of numbers where people are like, yes, we think mass deportations are necessary.
And then you have a 2-year-old Venezuelan girl crossing the border alone. My son turns 2 on Friday. He can barely walk up the stairs.
So heartbreaking.
She got to our southern border, probably through a cartel. Who knows what happened to her? There is atrocity at the southern border, and it needs to end.
Remarkable stuff. Nice to see you on a Monday. See you.
Guys, I'm telling you, it's so heartbreaking. There was that story they talked about earlier where it was a 2-year-old. They're asking her, where's your parents? And she's literally saying, my parents are in Venezuela. And she's like, I'm here by myself. And it's like, that's like, they've created this problem. They literally did. Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. She said, pray will calm down when Trump gets in office. He will take these things. God bless this channel. Let it grow for the good things to come. Joel and his family, we love you. Love you too, Judy Lynn. Y'all show Judy Lynn some love in the chat, everybody. We also have it. Check this out. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker encourages all illegal immigrants to come to his state to avoid deportation from the Trump administration. He said that he will protect them. I love it how he says all illegal immigrants. He doesn't say, hey, criminals, stay away. Or no, he says everybody just come. We'll protect you. Then you got this governor, Governor DeSantis, who tells mayors in the state of Florida, if they try to obstruct or block the Trump's administration's mass deportation plans, that they will be held accountable by the rule of law. Like, this is what we need. Because not only that, there's so much happening. Like right now, we have the wars that are happening overseas that Biden is trying to get us into more. But there's literally like this internal war that's happening between the immigration policies. But we just showed you on this channel, Obama deported 5.3 million people, but yet none of the Democrats said anything. Why? Because he was a Democrat. It's so hypocritical. It's so backwards. People need to see the truth. And that's where we want to bring it to you, because they should never, ever have to experience this. Check this out, because I'm telling you this. Right now, what's happening with the whole border wall, the immigration, the crisis, Trump is threatening to remove all federal funding from these sanctuary cities if they don't comply. Check this out.
Welcome back. Democrat politicians are vowing to oppose the incoming Trump administration's agenda. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy giving this warning to Trump. Watch this.
As we respect the peaceful transition of power, that if there is any attack on the Garden State or on any of its communities from Washington, I will fight back with every fiber of my being.
Wow.
Joining me now is New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, a member of the House Judiciary, Transportation, and Infrastructure Committees. Congressman, I realize that, Kamala Harris won New Jersey, but I believe Trump lost it by like 5 points or something. What do you make of Phil Murphy and this resistance?
Arrogance. Arrogance is the word. You know, we got closer in New Jersey without anybody on the ground, with not spending a dollar, because we couldn't. It was funny. President Trump called me up close to a year ago and said, Van Drew, I want you to be my chair for the state of New Jersey. I want to win it. And, you know, I said, thank you very much, Mr. President. Boy, that's a tough job. Here's the deal. Normally, we always lose New Jersey as Republicans statewide by close to 20 points. We got within 5, and that was without spending a penny.
That's huge.
Governor Murphy isn't listening to the people, and this is typical of the ultra-left. They're arrogant, and he thinks that, you know, the people are stupid, they don't understand what they did, and we're still going to fight this. Who would fight having secure borders? Who would fight removing criminals and murderers, rapists, and people on the terror watch list from our country? Why would you fight that? That isn't the values of good New Jerseyans or good Americans.
Well, by the way, you did a great job running the effort there in New Jersey, Congressman. Congratulations to you. I mean, it was such a close race in New Jersey, and nobody thought that deep blue areas like Jersey and New York would get this close and have so much support. But that's exactly what happened. I also think, though, that Phil Murphy needs to understand the ramifications of those comments. I spoke yesterday with Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's heading up this new House subcommittee will work along with Elon, Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy, cutting waste, the Department of Government Efficiency. Greene joined me and discussed how Congress can help cut waste. Watch this.
We want to look deeply at these contracts and these government programs to see if they really make sense anymore. There are so many government agencies and government programs and contracts that their purpose has expired and they're no longer needed. It's not just contracts. Let's talk about federal employees that haven't showed up to work ever since COVID. We're also looking at we have thousands of buildings that the federal government owns and pays for with over $15 billion a year. But yet those government buildings sit empty and these government employees stay at home. If they use their police officers and their resources to harbor and protect illegal criminal aliens, then absolutely those sanctuary states and cities are in danger of losing their federal funding, and rightfully so.
100%.
So, I mean, that was a pretty important statement there, Congressman. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to be heading up this subcommittee to cut waste, and she's going right toward those sanctuary cities. If they learn that they're harboring illegal criminals, they're going to lose their federal funding. Do you think Phil Murphy understands that?
I don't know that he cares. I mean, I think that for him, he would just increase taxes. That's the usual route that we go in the state of New Jersey and these blue states. I applaud what she's doing. We haven't announced the committee chairs, but I know she's going to do good work, and I look forward to working with her. Speaking to Jim Jordan, my chair that I work very closely with, he and I are going to do some really exciting things in the Judiciary Committee as far as at the oversight level, looking at what the Attorney General is doing, looking at what the Department of Justice is doing, looking at what the FBI is doing. There's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse there. A lot of lack of vision. So we have some exciting, I think, announcements next year concerning that as well. This is a good time. We're going to listen to the people. We're going to get government back on track. It is the job of government. We work for the people. The people don't work for us. This message
it's a great point.
was sent.
I think a lot of people are very optimistic about this, Congressman. Jonathan Fahey, jump in here, because you heard what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, right, on the sanctuary cities.
Yeah, I think that's great. And what Phil Murphy is doing is so disingenuous, because on one hand, he's trying to suggest that sanctuary cities or sanctuary states are sort of protecting the innocent, the hardworking. But what they're really doing is protecting people that are committing crimes in this country, like the killer of Laken Riley. And when Phil Murphy says he'll fight to the death, well, she literally fought to the death because of these sanctuary cities policies. But Congressman Drew, I know you've been totally all over this issue, but but what can Congress do, not just with respect to government waste, but can they pass a bill, or can you make it part of the tax bill, part of the salt reduction? If you're going to be a sanctuary city, maybe we don't give you that. Or what can be done, because this needs to end. Lake and Riley, there should never be another situation like that.
The vast majority of New Jerseyans would agree with that. Yes, we want the salt deduction. I'd have no problem with linking that, though, to the fact that you can't be a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state. Bill Murphy made New Jersey a sanctuary state.
Yeah.
His administration is afraid to admit that now, but that's absolutely true. And real quickly, we let out over 113,000 illegals who were rapists and murderers into our country, and it's got to stop, and people want it to stop. They want a safe country and support.
Yeah, of course. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning.
Guys, I'm telling you this, like the amount of corruption that is in our politicians, our Congress, is unreal. This is Josh Hawley. He was up for re-election this year. He won his re-election, and now that he's won again, he is straight up saying, look, we got to clean house. We got to clean the swamp. Trump won president. Now it's time to show everybody how corrupt these politicians are. Listen to this.
That's the problem. That's what we're trying to fix. I would suspect that I probably have the fewest assets of anybody sitting on this dais. I am not a rich man, unlike those to my left. So, I mean, listen. The American people look at people like the former Speaker of the House, who makes better returns than anybody in America. They look at senators who were investigated during the COVID pandemic for their miraculous stock trades, and they say, how is this possible? To think that this might become a problem in the future is frankly fanciful. It's a problem now. It is, and it's not just in perception, it is reality. Members of Congress are trading daily based on information that the public doesn't have. And now we've heard the insider trading. I understand that insider trading is banned, but let's be honest. Members of Congress get information that is technically not insider information, as defined by the securities laws, that is nevertheless extremely beneficial to know. And often we get it earlier than other people.
Y'all hear that? He calls them out. Like, I'm telling you guys, they're 100% pushing to clean house. On top of that, listen to this, because again, too, the money laundering is 100% real. Check this out.
Well, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention something that doesn't get much attention. And you've heard the term follow the money. So I looked up, where did follow the money? I thought it was from a Tom Cruise movie, but it wasn't. It was from Watergate. And follow the money is what they did in Watergate. And we saw what happened. So my young staffer, who's very bright, and I see him over there, Adam Pack, followed the money. And the money is from the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. So in the name of green and environmental justice, there's over $40 billion that are going to be granted out through the EPA. So with this great research that was done, what was discovered that in December, the EPA granted $50 million to an organization called Climate Justice Alliance. So we went to the website of Climate Justice Alliance. This is what we found on the website, that our taxpayer dollars are going to organizations such as this. This, at the bottom, is a picture of the bulldozer that went through the fence when Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th. They have a rendering on their website. It says decolonize Palestine, and it has a picture of that same bulldozer going through that fence. If you dig deeper, they want to defund the police, defund the military, either them or their affiliates. Want to have very radical, drastic initiatives that I think are anti-American. And they're certainly anti-Israel and anti-Semitic.
Y'all hear that? So we gave $50 million. This is from a congresswoman. We gave $50 million to a organization that literally is trying to fight to defund the police, defund the military, get the support away from Israel. Like, This is how our tax dollars are spent. $50 million. That's why that when I say the corruption is real, it is there, everybody, and they are uncovering it day by day. Doge is taking effect like nobody's business. Check this out. Rural counties in California and Illinois are pushing to secede from their blue states to separate from liberal-run cities and create their own following Trump's win. Like, that's where we're at right now. Cities don't want to be a part of like California, Illinois, New York, things like that, because they know that where their money's going to, it's not to take care of America people, America first. It's not America first agenda. It's all about filling the agenda of the Democrats or the United Nations, and it's not putting America first. But that's why I'm so happy, because when we look at where things are moving with the whole accountability, listen to this, because this to me is this is where we want accountability at, especially. Check this out.
So meanwhile, an audit pushed by Iowa Senator Joni Ernst found more than 800 IRS employees still owe millions in back taxes. So let's turn to Fox Business's Grady Trimble, who is here in person in studio. Tell me about this. What's going on?
So Senator Ernst is calling these employees who work for the IRS tax-evading tax collectors. The IRS admitted in a letter to her that at one point more than 2,000 employees owed more than $12 million in taxes. As of the letter dated November 8th, 860 employees still hadn't paid up. On top of that, at the time of the original investigation over the summer, some 1,700 contractors of the IRS had balances due, totaling more than $17 million. And since then, only 600 of them have paid up. And that's where DOJ comes in, the Department of Government Efficiency, not only about cutting waste, but also about making sure people are paying their taxes. Vivek Ramaswamy says this is another example of rules for thee, not for me. And he's working with Senator Ernst, who is head of the Senate DOJ caucus.
I sat down with Vivek Ramaswamy this last week, provided him with a blueprint of $2 trillion of savings nearly immediately. Those that are pushing against cutting this waste out are usually the fat cats that are actually enjoying this government waste.
So in fairness, we should point out more than 96% of IRS employees and contractors are tax compliant. But Edward, here's another staggering number for you. It's not just IRS employees who aren't paying their taxes when they're due. Across the federal government, federal employees owed around $1.5 billion in unpaid taxes.
Yeah, nobody's checking the checkers.
Imagine if we did that.
Yeah, exactly, right, yeah. And I want to check out this DOJ. There's a DOJ caucus.
Yes, and there's also a DOJ subcommittee on the House side, which is part of House oversight. So they've got congressional Republicans on board with this. It's going to be a little harder to convince the Democrats to get involved.
There's a wave coming behind.
Guys, I'm telling you, like the whole money accountability is so unreal. Look at this. So this popped up. Representative Darrell Issa is demanding answers from Secretary Blinken. You know why? Because they had taxpayer-funded crying sessions held for State Department employees after Trump's election victory. Are you freaking kidding me? We have people in government who couldn't handle Trump winning, and they had to have a cry session that for some reason we had to pay for, and they brought in therapists to talk to them to help them cope with Trump winning the presidency. If that wasn't the biggest waste of money that I couldn't imagine, like I'm telling you, it is literally the where our tax dollars go. And I'm telling you, if we asked most people, they would say, I would never approve of that. I would never put my money towards that. Because right now, that's what they're trying to do. They're literally trying to sabotage as much as possible before Trump gets into office. Christine Engler, thank you so much for the gifted 5 True Life News memberships. Let's go. Y'all show Christine some love in the chat, everybody. But check this out, because I'm telling you, Trump's dream team is getting better. Check this out.
All right, well, you got a bunch of things to talk about here. Let's start with what's happening with the transition. The headline here on Axios reads, "Behind the Curtain, Trump's liberal cabinet." It goes on to say why it matters. It's saying lost in the noise of Trump's most controversial picks is the simple, undebatable fact that this might be the most ideological, diverse cabinet of modern times. Part of that is true because there are people who really want change. And we have seen also some from the left come over to join Trump. What do you make of how they're framing it, though?
Well, it is interesting. I mean, when you had this coalition of Democrats and former Democrats want to be a part of MAGA and MAHA, and all these this great coalition we're building, people like me, I'm a strong conservative. We have to be open to the idea that if we want to capture the hearts and minds of the American people, we have to try a new and different way. And part of that way is also a lot of union support, a lot of support from African Americans, Hispanics, people with a diverse view on a multitude of questions, but they believe that America is something worth fighting for. They want the military to be strong. They want us to respect cops, put families back and parents back in charge of raising their kids. These are the fundamentals that brought this diverse coalition together.
And, you know, we showed that poll. People are really approving of the picks. And one thing that's getting a lot of headlines is DOJ, of course, which is now getting to have collaboration with real members of Congress, too. So if there was some talk from the left beginning, how are they going to do this? Oh, it's happening. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who will lead a parallel DOJ effort. We know Joni Ernst over in the Senate will be doing some as well. You know, but they're talking about, she's saying they can cut federal aid to those sanctuary cities where we know people are already trying to not comply with deportations. And I loved this, talking about slashing the NPR budget, Matt, because why should taxpayers anymore fund propaganda? We all recall this. Let's play it one more time to refresh the memories. This is the NPR CEO at a TED Talk in 2021.
Seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
Everybody.
That is the CEO of NPR that we as Americans fund. No, it's all about the truth. And I guess that's why Elon is, joking about buying MSNBC. Not too out of the stratosphere, I don't think.
Right. Look, NPR, PBS is no better on the TV side. And then you have all the subsidies and help that the broadcast and legacy media get from the federal government. I think all that should be looked at. I mean, it's disgraceful. I used to listen to NPR every morning. I wouldn't even think of turning it on anymore. It's become so disgraceful because they now take sides in all these policy positions. And they say that, they won't have, people who are cynics on the Green New Deal on the show because you're anti-science, blah, blah, blah. It goes on from there. Now, look, on the DOJ piece, Bianca, I'm all for cutting all the government we possibly can cut.
Right.
But this has to go through Congress. Everybody has to keep in mind, all this stuff has to go through Congress. Republicans in Congress fail at this notion of cutting spending. The very first thing they should be able to do is have a massive multi-billion-dollar rescissions package to cut all the funding that's still in the budget that was for COVID. And all this money that was for the Green New Deal from Biden. Yeah. They should start there. Let's see if these Republicans are serious this time.
I also love the fact that people who are working remote, they might actually just drop off and deselect themselves, that they actually have to go into an office and work like all the rest of us hardworking folks who come in.
Guys, I'm telling you, this is where we're heading towards. I think it's a big awakening because I'll tell you this is big. Brian McGavick, thank you so much for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Brian some love in the chat, everybody. Y'all are so amazing. This community is the best. But check this out. This just came in while we were on stream, everybody. Russia says it can deploy medium and short-range missiles to the Asian region in response to U.S. actions. They're not playing around. Whatever's going on behind the scenes that us as normal people, we only get bits and pieces of it. Our politicians aren't doing anything to help us out. They're literally pushing us towards this world war. And it's crazy because it's Trump is so close to being into office. When we had Trump, there was no new wars, Nobody did anything stupid. And now we're having to deal with almost every single country I've shown you on this channel. France, the UK, Russia, Ukraine. Thank God Israel and Iran and Hezbollah just have agreed to a ceasefire on principle. But like even China's getting involved, North Korea, all these places, everybody is like preparing themselves because of this guy and this woman on the right-hand side. They can't hold it together, or something's happening behind the scenes. Y'all let me know your thoughts. But I want to say this too, that the difference between now with Trump and Elon and Vivek is that Elon has a voice that is bigger probably than anybody else's voice in the world. With X, they're planning to show everybody. I'm just gonna search for it and show you. They're planning to show everybody through this account here where people's money is going towards, which congressperson is held accountable for it, and why we need to cut the spending. Look at this. It's already got 2.1 million followers. This is for the people. This is by the people, because we've had and I've showed you plenty of evidence. There's too much corruption in Washington right now. We need to clean house big time. Let me know your thoughts. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. We're just so thankful and grateful in this Thanksgiving week for everybody that's watching, for all of our viewers. Thank you to all of our members. If you want to join the True Life News fam, the link is in the description to join, as well as the link to follow me on X. And also, just want to give some shout outs because we're so grateful for everybody that supports with the super chat donations. Christopher Reed, Tarina Smith, Silda Morales. We got B1 Sly One, Sheila Brown, Judy Lynn Loving Spirit, Christine Engler, Brian McGavick. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. This is to me, I love this season of the holidays. One, I love the giving back. I love the spending time with family, making memories. We have, when you have big families, you can't just have one big Thanksgiving. We had our Thanksgiving with my side of the family yesterday, and got everybody together, and we did the most American thing ever. We had honey baked ham, we had turkey, we had the pumpkin pie, and then we watched some football. And yes, the Titans actually did win. I live in Tennessee. The Titans won, and it was great. But I'll say this, that I was very disappointed because I actually do play fantasy too, and I lost one of mine. But this week is a time to spend with family. True Life News, you're part of my family. I love you all. I appreciate you. And I'm here for you. So just know that we aren't going to do a full show on Thanksgiving, but we are going to do a smaller show. And we're going to be doing some member-only things moving forward. And I just want to say how grateful I am for all of you. I love you, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.